I hope you guys can hear me. It's a little windy here, but it's really nice. Anyways, I wanted to come up here. See, I'm making this video mainly for me. I feel like I need to hear this message the most, but just in case if anyone is also going through, if not the same, but similar things as me, hopefully, I hope this video can be served as a reminder, as an inspiration, as a service to remind you that it's okay and that you're loved. And so, just last night, or maybe this morning, life sort of brought me circumstances that kind of forced me to face certain things that I didn't want to face for a long time. And my first reaction to it was to resist to it. That I wanted to ignore it. I wanted to run away from it because immediately my mind was making up all these stories about, how I think the situation would turn out if I were to face it directly. But it's very interesting how life works. And I'm very grateful. So just yesterday, last night, actually, Jonathan has been reading this book that our dear friend Anna has recommended us to read. I think it's called Surrender by Michael Singer. He's also the author of Untethered Soul. I haven't read the book Surrender yet, but Jonathan has been reading it, and he just so happened to be sharing with me that Michael Singer's life experience, where he really allowed himself to surrender to any and all life situations. So, kind of the gist of it was that Michael Singer there's a period of time all he ever wanted was to meditate, be alone and meditate all day, every day, because he believed that's how he's going to reach enlightenment. But for some reason, the more he meditates, the more life bring him circumstances where he couldn't be alone, but things kind of just fall into places together, where he kind of builds a community, builds a temple on his land, and money just show up randomly to support his callings, his mission, his purpose, whatever that may be. I didn't really read it, but Jonathan was kind of sharing his story from the book, where every time a life circumstance happened, even logically, it was like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to deal with this right now. I don't want to go through it. Oh no. But he would sit in meditation or sit in silence and allow himself to surrender to that situation or that circumstance. That was the door that just got slammed by the wind. Anyways, and so, and whenever the more he surrenders, somehow life was able to shape itself, form itself in a such miraculous way that he didn't even think was possible. It's all just the power of surrendering, the power of trusting, the power of letting himself be and be okay with any life situations that was basically put in front of him. So that was before I went to sleep. Jonathan was sharing that. In the middle of the night, my stomach was hurting so bad. I had to get up and poop. That's what a metaphor, right? Because I think I was physically pooping out the toxins out of my body, but also I think it's a metaphor of it's time for me to poop out all the emotions that I probably have buried for a long time. Because 10 minutes after I went to the bathroom, I received a text from a relative in Taiwan saying my dad's health condition is very, very bad right now. And the last time I talked to him was literally almost 4 years ago. Because for those people who have heard of my life stories, my dad was actually very verbally and physically and mentally abusive. And for a very, very long time, I carried a lot of guilt, thinking that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't a good enough daughter. No, like oftentimes having conversation with my dad, the stories that I made up in my mind, or the feeling that I was feeling oftentimes when talking to him was I should just keep my mouth shut because no matter what I say, it will always be wrong. And there was no place for me to speak. There was only place for me to listen. And he would repeat the same thing, or anything that I share would kind of be shut down. And that pattern has been like that for probably almost all my life, up until something happened about 4 years ago, where he said and did something that my all of my being was like, I need to stand up for myself and learn to let go of all the guilt that I'm carrying that's not even mine, that I've been carrying him as my responsibility, when his life circumstances was his own doing. It's his responsibility. He's his own grown man, but for some reason I was carrying it as if it's my fault, even though logically it doesn't make sense. So finally something happened 4 years ago where I was like, no, like, I need to stand up for myself, and this is my learning to set boundaries for the first time in a long time. And at that time, it just did not feel right for me to have that kind of energy in my life. And interesting enough, after I set the boundary with my dad, 10 days later, I found out I was pregnant with Nyla. And I wanted to protect my energy, because every time I talked to him, it was just a feeling of, I don't know how to explain. It just, the gut would just tighten up, or there's always fears, even though it's gotten a lot better compared to like years ago. But I just felt the need to protect my own energy, especially during the time that I was pregnant. So I haven't really talked to him ever since then. I did reach back out to him to let him know that Nyla was born, and when it was Nyla's first year's birthday, I texted him but never heard back. But yeah, this morning, I received a text that from a relative who was also in the pattern of, just, I perceived as, could be judgmental at times. And so my first initial reaction to it was, no, 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 let me, no, no, no. Let me just pretend I didn't see that. Because it triggered a lot of fears. It triggered a lot of part in me where I was still angry. I was still sad. I was still hurt about what had happened, 4 years ago. And I processed through a lot of things from my childhood, but mainly from 4 years ago. I don't think I fully processed through it. And I kept telling myself, no, I'm just done with him. I'm good. But I think this experience really forced me to to be really honest with my feelings, to be really honest with how I feel. That, of course, a part of me still loves my dad. He is my dad. Doesn't matter what he's done, doesn't matter how he is. And no matter what, there is a little child in him that is probably scared shitless right now. And so, as much resistance that I had towards reaching back out to my family in Taiwan, I remember Jonathan just shared with me Michael Singer's stories where he surrendered into any life circumstances. And this is why I think life is very interesting. Universe really puts, like, everything happens for a reason, right? Just so happened last night Jonathan shared with that surrender story with me. Just so happened I started having diarrhea in the middle of the night. Just so happened after I had the diarrhea, my Taiwan relative contacted me, and I couldn't go back to sleep. And at night is probably only the only time that I have time to be with myself, because Nyla needs a lot of my attention during the day. And so it really gave me time to process through and allow myself. I chose to surrender into the situation regardless of how much fears or hurt or sadness I was feeling. In fact, I don't think I was feeling those emotions at first because I blocked it. At first I was just feeling angry. No, at first I was feeling scared. Then the judgmental part of me came out and trying the defense mechanism came out and had the stories I've been telling myself. What if he yells at me again? What if my relative in Taiwan yell at me again for not being a good enough daughter? Look at, you're all the way in Mexico and your dad is the condition that he is in. You're not even here taking care of him. These are all the judgments that I immediately made up in my mind. And so, because of those judgments that I had in my mind, I wanted to reject. I wanted to push away. I wanted to run away because that little girl in me was scared to be yelled at, to be resented, to be is scared to feel hurt again. And so the title, well, I haven't thought about the title of this video yet because I'm making this video first. I'm going to post it on Facebook later. But I'm thinking the title of this video will be if life bring up circumstances to make you poop, you better go poop. It's time for you to poop. And what I mean by that is I think now is time for me to poop out the hurt, poop out the anger, poop out the sadness, poop out the part of me that is scared. And I surrender into this situation and allow myself to just be heard, that I am scared, you know? And initially I didn't want to reach back out to my relative, but after surrendering to it, I felt the need to do it now. In the beginning, I was denying it. And I texted my relative during the day today. I'm going to talk to my relative later tonight. But I think I've experienced enough life experience to know that if I don't face this now, if I don't face these fears or sadness or anger now, it will show up later in different areas of my life. It will show up differently later. And I don't want to carry this regret and guilt in my energy field. I don't want to experience that. And as much as I could be scared now and feeling guilty for not being there for my dad enough, I'm going to face it. And the reason why I want to share this with you here and now is I'm pretty sure a lot of us have emotions that we bury deep down that we don't want to face. And life may possibly be bringing circumstances into your life to help you face those emotions. And it's not going to feel it's not going to feel easy. And you probably want to run away. You probably feel very stressful and very overwhelmed. You're just like, "Oh!" And you probably just don't feel good, but you can't pinpoint what that is. And you probably don't feel good and you try to make yourself feel better by eating, shopping, going on to Facebook, internet, watching Netflix, or just keeping yourself busy rather than feeling through all the emotions that are supposed to be pooped out right now. And the reason why I said if life or the universe is bringing you circumstances, is telling you to go poop, you better go poop now, and it's probably time for you to poop it out, is because imagine we have all been very constipated for years and years and years of all these emotions, these sadness, these anger, these feeling of unfairness that we've been carrying for a long time. And we just never allow ourselves to poop. We just bury deep down as shit in our energetic, spiritual, mental stomach. We just accumulate all these poop, right? Finally, you can only accumulate so much, and then life will have to throw you something and go, fuck, you gotta go poop. You better go poop. You're gonna explode. You gotta go poop. And imagine that you have been constipated for many years and you didn't poop for a long time. And those poop got hard. And as you push down, it's gonna feel like it hurts like hell. I'm using these metaphors because I know everybody can relate. And when it hurts like hell, you want to suck it back in because it hurts too much. but don't let it come out. I know, I'm sorry for using poop as a metaphor, but it literally feels like that right now. I can tell you, I'm like, there's a little girl in me that's really wanting to run away. I feel nervous right now, even though there's an evolved part of me that says, you know, you've experienced this before, and it's okay and it's normal. Now you want to run away, but that little girl in me is like, but what if I get yelled at again? No, no, no. Like, she's really scared. I'm really nervous, to be honest. But regardless, I'm still choosing to face it. And I'm just gonna allow myself to feel all the shame, all the guilt that I've been feeling, and probably bury deep down, because it's time for me to poop it out. So I don't have to carry it anymore. And I'm sharing this here. Well, sometimes when you talk it out loud, you kind of feel better, right? This is kind of what I'm doing for myself. And hopefully it can serve as a beautiful reminder for anyone who may be going through similar things. If life is bringing you opportunities for you to poop out those emotions, poop out those hurt, poop out those unfairness, poop out those anger and sadness, where we didn't feel heard, where maybe we even feel used, or feeling like no matter what we do is never good enough. Just imagine and know that those are all fucking bullshit. That's why it's called poop it out. Poop out the bullshit. Don't carry those with you anymore. If you feel stressful, overwhelmed, exhausted, or just you don't even know what you're feeling, let yourself feel whatever you need to feel at the moment. That's how you poop it out. Don't suck it back in. It's not good for you. Not in the long run anyways. It may feel like it's not a big deal right now, but I know I've experienced that life enough to tell you and share with you. If you don't poop it out now, you'll have to poop it out somehow. It will just keep showing up until you poop it out. So, yeah, I'm choosing to bring that little girl in me and hold her hands and let her be scared, but loving her through it, and face those emotions that I was scared to face, and face this part of my life that I kind of put aside for a long time. Oop. Sorry. So, that's it. Hope you have a great time pooping. It's not gonna feel easy in the beginning, but it's gonna be worth it. Sending you all so much love. Have a beautiful day. Have a great time pooping. Bye.